Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Darcy, nice to see you. Everyone whose neighborhood, whose businesses have not been flooded by the Little Mill Creek in northern Delaware this year, last year, they send their best and their thanks. General Bostic, very nice to see you. How many years of service?
38, sir.
38. That's a pretty remarkable record. On behalf of everyone in this country who you have served, for those years continue to serve, I just want to thank you for an extraordinary life of service. I want to start off. You were very nice to spend some time on the phone with me earlier this week, and if I could, I just want to go back to this commission, these basin commissions around the country. You know better than me. Delaware River Basin Commission is one. Another is the Interstate Commission of the Potomac River Basin. A third is the Susquehanna River Basin Commission. And despite a reiteration and a clarification of congressional intent in WERDA, I think in 2014, the Army Corps of Engineers did not provide funding, as you know, in either 2015 or in 2016. In fact, the Delaware River Basin Commission in our part of the world has not received funding, I think, for 19 of the last 20 years. I think Delaware is the only state that fully funds its share into the commission. Pennsylvania, I think New York and New Jersey fund some, but not all. Just thinking back on our conversation, could you just again tell me the status of what we think are fairly clear congressional directives for the Army Corps to budget and to allocate funds to the three river basin commissions, and why it has not happened and what we might be able to do about it?
Senator, within our budget, we have a program that's called Planning Assistance to States, and within that program, it is envisioned that the activities of the river commissions would qualify for that funding. However, activities of the commission would need to be cost-shared from 50% of the federal input as well as 50% from the River Commission. So if we can identify activities specific to the operation of the commission, we would be able to use that funding source if again, we could find the cost share 50% from the commission itself.
Okay. About how much money would we be talking about, you know?
I don't know. Planning assistance to states, how much is in it?
2.3 million.
Okay, the entire line item for planning assistance to states is $2.3 million.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. As you know, WERDA 2014 version of WERDA further requires that if the secretary does not allocate funds for a given fiscal year, the secretary shall submit a notice describing why funds were not allocated. And to my knowledge, no report has been provided. And I would just ask if you could tell us why that report was not provided to Congress.
But, the report wasn't provided because I think it's viewed that within this planning assistance to states funding stream that there would be the ability to fund some of the river commissions.
All right, thank you. We talked a bit about the most recent storm that's come up the Atlantic coast. I described, we always compare it to a storm that occurred in 1962. I was not in Delaware at the time. I was a kid, I think, somewhere. But whenever people talk about damages to the beaches, Maryland, Delaware, North, they talk about the storm in 1962. We had a bad storm a couple of weeks ago. We had about a month or two ago, and a lot of snow in many places, including here. But we had huge winds. We had sustained winds, 50 knots, up to as much as 60, 70 knots, which was nor'easter. It did a whole lot of damage. The good news is it did not destroy our beach communities from Fenwick Island up to Lewis. Rehoboth Beach was saved, Dewey, Bethany, because of the work up by the Army Corps of Engineers. And I should just stop here, right here, and say, we value very deeply our relationship with the Army Corps of Engineers, Region 3, Philadelphia, and also in Baltimore. They have wonderful people there, civilian and military. We love working with them, and they are so responsive and thoughtful and really very creative, very creative. So we're grateful for that. But I want to, we're in a situation where we need to restore the dunes that have protected and saved these beach communities, including one that you've spent some time in, as have I, in our lives. But I just want to ask you, do you think it might be possible to direct a portion of the remaining emergency funds from Superstorm Sandy disaster appropriations legislation toward the Corps' flood control and coastal emergency account, perhaps through an amendment to WRDA later this spring?
Senator, we're currently evaluating the damages from that storm and looking to our FCC&E account for what might be available there to be able to repair that damage. The appropriations bill for Sandy money is pretty specific that the damages have to have been caused by Superstorm Sandy. So I'm not optimistic that we'd be able to use those funds without some kind of legislative direction.
Good. Just one last quick question. In terms of the remaining funds from Superstorm Sandy that have not been obligated or used, would you just refresh my memory of how much that is? I'm thinking 5.4 billion, half of which has been used, half of which has not been obligated, but I may be mistaken. General Bostic, do you know?
We've used about $1 billion out of the $5 billion. Most of the larger projects are yet to come.
All right.
They're the authorized but not constructed projects.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, let's continue to have this conversation. But thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today, and thank you both for your service. Good to see you. Thank you.